I actually instructed AI to build the AI tools, and AI gets the leads, and AI does the fulfillment, and AI built the AI. He's like, I don't know how to do anything in my own company. And I was like, what? Now, I think we all knew and realized that that day would come, but it's here. What I'm gonna do in this episode here with you is I'm gonna share with you the 3 different ways to use AI, because really there's only one that I see that most people freak out about, or at least the general public is psyched about. But there's 2 other kinds. It's kind of like the baby boomers who chose to not learn the computer. You have to go learn it. You're gonna get left behind if you don't. What's up, guys? Hey, in this episode, I'm gonna share with you one of the coolest ways that you can use AI, and it's something that I almost hear nobody talking about. So let's dive in. Now, as we dive into this, last week I spoke at an event over in Texas, and it was an awesome event. It was an internet marketing party, had a lot of fun there. It was great. Shout out to David. Had so much fun over there. Beforehand, their deal is that you get to go hang out in this think tank. If you're a speaker, they bring in kind of a custom group of people for whatever business is coming in. And so the amazing, incredible, I can't even believe he was there. Jesse Elder was there, and Ron Lynch, which, come on, boom, wow, amazing. Ryan Moran from capitalism.com. Shout out to you. I love all of you guys so much. Pedro Harris, which is just incredible. It's so fun. Misty was there. A small group of people, and they all spent 3.5 hours dissecting my business. And when I told them, my mission and my vision, my purpose is to go dump into and kind of champion capitalism for the nation so that people understand what it actually is, because I think we're kind of losing sight of what it is. The rest of the night was actually spent on AI. We talked about AI quite a bit while we were there, and I got to meet somebody who was sitting right next to me, and I said, what do you do for business? And he goes, I got a bunch of AI tools that help people go grow their company. And I said, that's amazing. How'd you get into that? And he goes, well, that's what's funny. He said, I actually don't know how to do anything in my business. I said, what? He goes, yeah, the comedy behind it, he's making millions of dollars. What's funny is I actually instructed AI to build the AI tools, and AI gets the leads, and AI does the fulfillment, and AI built the AI. He's like, I don't know how to do anything in my own company. And I was like, what? Now, I think we all knew and realized that that day would come, but it's here. There are people who are building businesses who don't know how to do a lot of the, and really, if you think about it, that's what a business owner is supposed to do anyway. A business owner should not know how to do everything inside their company if your intention is to scale and maybe sell one day, right? You shouldn't. That means you are the leverage, right? That means you have no leverage, you have no scale. There's no team, there's no processes. You are the system, you know what I mean? And it's a fun thing to bring up and point out to business owners. And it's one of the hardest parts I have, and I've struggled with this myself, is I'm such an artist in what I do that sometimes it's hard to let go when you should be letting go. But here I was sitting next to this guy using AI, and he just prompted it using all these different types of AI, and his AI built AI selling AI to people who need AI. And I was like, that's like so serendipitous, like Twilight Zone-ish. And he makes tons of money. In fact, he told me sitting there, he's like, I actually feel a little bit like unqualified. I feel weird, kind of like a charlatan sitting here, because he's like, I barely know what you guys are all talking about. And I was like, holy crap. And it was the first time I ever met someone that had done that. And I think we all knew the potential was there. What I'm going to do in this episode here with you is I'm going to share with you the 3 different ways to use AI, because really there's only one that I see that most people freak out about, or at least the general public is psyched about. But there's 2 other kinds. The first time I ever had a run-in with AI, which there's really no such thing as AI, by the way, it's language learning models. So LLMs, right? This is important to understand how this stuff works. I messaged my dad one day, and he spearheads the AI division at Gartner. And if you don't know what Gartner is like a massive review company of like the big tech companies. If you ever saw the kid movie Ratatouille, there's like the food critic that comes in. He's like, if I don't like the food, I don't swallow. Yeah, right? Have you ever seen that movie? He's a food critic, right? Well, think about Gartner almost like a big company and tech company critic, and everyone wants to get good reviews from Gartner. Well, about 5-6 years ago, I messaged my dad and I was like, isn't it crazy that there's these huge companies out there that have full-time data scientists on staff, and all they're doing is feeding data to these LLMs, and the patterns are saying, here's how we could get more sales with the same amount of resources. And he goes, yeah, it's crazy. And I was like, it's psycho that we don't really have that power yet. It's coming for like the tiny businesses, right? SMBs, small and medium businesses. We don't really have that kind of tech yet. And so there's different forms of AI that you should be aware of in the world. The one that everyone freaks out about right now that is the most popular is literally called Generative AI. And some of you guys are like, duh, I know all this. But I find that most people don't, which is why I'm doing this right now. Generative AI is stuff like ChatGPT, or let's create a cool image, or let's go create a movie, or whatever. It's generative. It generates things, right? And so generative AI is the thing that the general public kind of thinks when they hear the term AI, but there's so many kinds of AI. I was talking about with my dad is called predictive AI. AI. And so he and I, this is back 5-6 years ago, we started a business called Click AI. And what we started doing is we started taking sales data, thousands of lines of previous customer data from companies, and we started feeding it into predictive AI. And what the job of predictive AI was is we said, we want you to optimize our sales, find more money for the company, and use tens of thousands of predictive models that our human brain cannot compute to tell us how we can make a lot more money with our companies. And what it came back with was crazy. Okay, now remember, this is like 6 years ago. It's way better now. There wasn't really anyone else like doing that. My dad was among one of the first people to go and like code a way for SMBs to actually use LLMs for predictive AI analysis. Stick with me. I know I'm going a little deep. This is not like the normal thing I usually talk about in this stuff, but you should really understand that there's a much more exciting way to use AI than what everyone else is already talking about. So this is what we did. We fed thousands of lines of buyer and customer data from companies into this predictive LLM or AI. And we said, find us more money. And it would come back with things like, on every Thursday when there's a full moon, double your ad spend, but then take your ad spend down to like half the cost on the following Tuesday. And 7 days before a major holiday, triple your ad spend, but then stop at the day of the major holiday. Whenever there's a new market report that comes out every quarter from the financial markets, you should also increase your ad spend, but then drop it again. It was so freaking specific. It was crazy. And as they went out and they started using this stuff, there were companies that went bankrupt because of it. And you're like, I thought it was finding more sales. The thing that it was doing, it was so powerful that it was actually selling faster than companies had the infrastructure to handle. And so what they had to start doing was coding this graph that represented the current resources of the company. And so it would plot all these scenarios. This is how you can make more money. This is how you can make more money. This is how you make more money. This is how you can make more money. And we literally said to people, hey, if you want to use your company's current resources and infrastructure, you have to choose one of the plotted scenarios for making more money that's behind that graph, behind those bars. Because if you go outside, we're not saying you're not going to make more money. That's not the issue. The issue is it has the potential for growing your company too quickly. What? This is predictive AI. This was ChatGPT and all that stuff. I mean, that stuff hadn't really like taken hold that much yet, like 6 years ago. I mean, it was around, but the general public was like, oh yeah, AI. You know what I mean? Like if you love AI now, like most of the public was like, cool, like it can create images and I can talk to it. Like there's a whole other field of language learning models that big companies have been using for a long time, called predictive AI, and it predicts based on tons and tons of scenarios that our brain cannot see. Here's how you can make more money based off of your current customer data. What? So that's what we were doing. The problem we ran into, like this is true for all AI. AI is only as good as the questions that you can ask. And so it's not magic. It literally is based on history. It's not future focused at all. It uses the past to create the present and predict the future. And so all AI is historical context. And you have to remember that as a human being. So when people start trying to like, what should I go do here and there? It can use history, but it's not a magic ball, right? It's not a crystal ball. So generative AI is amazing and it's what most people are used to. And it's getting good. It's not great at it, but it's getting better. It's great at images. It's great at, right? There's AI movies that are coming out. Like it's the new frontier. And if you're not being honest about it, you're going to get left behind. It's kind of like the baby boomers who chose to not learn the computer. You have to go learn it. You're going to get left behind if you don't. I haven't gotten too far into generative AI just because I am a copywriter and I've been doing it for 11 years. So the generative aspect is really, really cool. And it absolutely shortcuts so much stuff. Brainstorming, and it helps me get like that initial clay that I need to go and actually create neat stuff. But it's never the final say in my creative process. Predictive AI is, in my opinion, there's a lot of uses for it. You can use it to optimize fulfillment. It's predictive. You use it in other functions of the business, then let's create content. I'm not trying to belittle it at all, but there's just so many other ways that big companies are using this stuff now that our SMB world, smaller businesses, businesses that are like less than 100 million, people are using it. It's just not known. The biggest issue, what I was saying before, that people have when they use AI is that it is historically based. And so if your data is not clean, it's very hard to use things like predictive AI. Now, here's what I mean by that. You might have some customer data sitting only on Facebook pixels. You might have some customer data sitting in huge Google Sheets. right? Tell me below if you've done this. I've totally done this. I'm not like, you might have tons of your data sitting on a CRM, but you've never really taken the time to organize it. And so what I'm saying is it's now time to think, is my data clean? And even if you're not going to go use things like predictive LLMs or things like that now, it's time to start thinking about that. How can I have, especially if you're an internet business owner, how can I start keeping cleaner records of all my data? It's never been more important to have something like a CRM than right now because of this very reason. It's not just to organize your customers. It is because of what you're going to be allowed to do if you have the proper foundation. So let's say you choose not to go into and actually get into any kind of predictive AI, and it's not super readily available to the consumer market yet. But the way you can prepare yourself is by having clean data. You should have a CRM. I use Go High Level for my CRM. I use Go High Level for my pipeline. I build funnels out of it. I still use other things as well, but GHL it's kind of my favorite all-in-one, just because I used to have like 500 zaps running things and pieces. It was crazy. It was a big spaghetti mess of craziness. But it's time to actually start paying attention to, you can't just be having all your customer data sitting on this email list, and then they join this email list if they buy that product, and then that email list if they buy this product. And that's how most of us, if you've been in this space at all, in the internet marketing or internet business space at all, most of us have really unclean data. And so what my dad and I started running into was we couldn't even work with a company for like 3 months because they had to go clean their crap. Their stuff was everywhere. You know what I mean? Like some of it was in like a funnel building software. Some of it was sitting on Facebook. I mean, someone was like printing it out. It was nuts. And so to be able to have all of your data at least coming into a CRM is going to be extremely valuable in the future. I even predict that one of the next biggest gold rushes is these services that will clean your data for you, which exist now. They clean your stuff, and it's for the intention and the purpose that you can actually use it for stuff. Imagine if you don't have to keep coming up with the new ideas on how to go make more money when you wake up. That's what I'm talking about. I could literally go to my computer, and because I have all the right stuff connected in all the right ways, and because I have all my data nice and clean, I could say, how could we make more money today? And I literally run a predictive LLM model that says, I think today you should increase your ad spend by 27% and then create an ad that says this, but then start targeting this audience over here. It's that good. So that's what's so freaking cool about this is the predictive. That's the part that gets me most. I haven't even told you about number 3 yet. Just because number 2 is so exciting to me. It's far more applicable for what I will actually use it in my business than generative AI. Again, I'm not knocking Claude or ChatGPT or any of these other things. They're great. They help a lot. I just really, really focus and recognize that if you are not taking care of all this data, like you need to start doing that now if you're going to have any kind of like hope for using predictive sales functions with these LLMs in the future. The third kind of AI that is very powerful that you should know is stuff that's like admin things. There's a guy I was talking to again last week, and he was like, yeah, it's funny, man, he's like, I want to go to dinner with someone who's really big and famous in our market, our local market. And he's like, I literally did this. I just said to it, hey, please go find me one of the nicest Italian restaurants in the area, get a table for me. So reserve a table around these times, send an email to that person and coordinate with them on the time and their availability. Took care of all that. It wasn't just like one email. It had conversations in the email back and forth, coordinating and finding a time. I don't even know that the person didn't realize that they were talking to a machine. Isn't that crazy? So it's the admin stuff, fulfillment roles. Hey, someone's not as checked into my program anymore, and I want to set some rules that as soon as we can tell that they're starting to fall away from doing the thing that they bought, could you bring them back into the business so that we can keep working with them and get the outcome they paid for? That's awesome. That's the other one that I'm most excited about. Again, not belittling generative, but it's this admin style AI. I don't know if I'm categorizing that correctly. If you guys know the name of what I'm talking about, put it in the comments because I'm trying to remember the name of it. But that's this next big piece that's coming out where, dude, I'll just be real with you guys. I think I've had close to 70 people work for me over the last 11 years, like as employees or 1099s. That's not including agencies. And one of the hardest things that I have, if you're like me, which if you're watching this, you probably are a little bit, you've got drive and you're hungry and you want to win. And it's very common for me to accidentally burn people out because people get sick or they want time off. They should. I'm not blaming any of them, but I kind of have uncanny ability to just grind, man. Are you guys that way? Let me know if you're that same. I'm totally that way. So I have historically burnt out people that work for me quite a bit. And so why I'm so excited about this admin style application of AI is because finding a good assistant can be really challenging. Finding a good marketer can be really challenging. Finding somebody who is the perfect fit for customer retention and success can be really difficult. And I'm not saying these machines can replace all of humans. They can't. But 80% fulfillment? Yeah. Which means, and kind of to what this guy we were talking about this last week, I think no one works for him. He's literally just has like an AI that acts like his assistant that he trained. He's got one that is his fulfillment person, if you will. He's got someone over here that knows how to reorder on the right amounts of, like, you can train all of that stuff. And I can get a little frustrated because I am a human being with how many times sometimes I'll have to train somebody to do a task that seems really, really standard to me. AI doesn't forget. You trained it, you told it, it's in its freaking code, right? And so that's the other part that's so powerful about this. These 3 different applications of AI, I think, are one of the most powerful things to keep in mind. Generative, amazing, but it has its uses. It's not everything. Predictive, oh, good freaking night. I'm so stoked about that. I mean, we're getting more serious about our CRM because of this and because of these patterns that we're watching. But then the use cases of AI being almost like an employee handling certain roles is the next one I'm so pumped about. And these tools are all over the place. All these tools I'm talking about, there's tons of versions of each one of these underneath the main one. You know, they're commercially available. Now, they weren't really as commercially available even 6 years ago when I was first doing this. We ended up stopping our company, Click AI, because it was too early. Like, just no one had clean data. It made it impossible to get clients at speed. That was the major problem we ran into. It's not that it didn't work. It was the time that it took for people to like clean their data and their customer information and gather from this list and tag it from this scenario. And this is how they bought. It's very, very, very important now that you guys go take care of that. I want to tell you guys something that I was taught in one of my design classes in college that really helped me with this. I've mentioned this before in this channel, but whatever. It's a great book by an author called Daniel Pink. It's called Whole New Mind. It's a great book, easy read. One of the arguments he makes in the book for Whole New Mind is that more and more the left brain activities in humanity will continue to be automated. There's already AIs that are better lawyer than any lawyer you could hire because they know every single piece of case law. Like when Marley and I will go and we'll get blood work done, we'll literally show the blood work results to AI and it will be able to not only just analyze it better than a human being because it's got every disease loaded into it and it's got every symptom and it's got and there's probabilities and it takes into account your lifestyle. Not only will it show us more accurately than a human being could what's actually going on in our bodies, it actually can tailor stuff to us that law might not let a current doctor say. I'll just say it like that. Hey AI, here's my blood work. Here's how I'm living. Here's all my other historical blood work so you can kind of plot what's going on. I want to know how I can optimize my health based on like not Western medicine, bring in like Chinese theology and ancient medicine. And it's like, it's crazy what it'll come up with. It's like, so anyway, back to this book. The book is saying more and more of these left brain activities will be automated. There's going to be a huge shift in wealth over the next 10 years because of all these tools. Now, because of that, and this is what the argument the book makes, because more and more of the left brain activities will be automated, the future belongs to the right brain thinker, the creative. This is great news because a lot of people who would consider themselves to be creative might not know sometimes it's harder to go make money because we're like, I want to just get back to my art. I want to get back to my innovative cave. I just want to go create. Well, now these freaking tools have the ability to help you find more sales. Instead of me going to a salesperson or, I got to carry all the sales pressure on my own shoulders, it will help you do that. And then your AI assistant can be taking care of some admin things in the business. And then, you've got the AI stuff that's going in and saying, here's fulfillment and I'm going to go help make sure that your customers are actually doing the thing that they got and getting the result. And it's not 100% automatable, but let's say even at this point, 50%. And what I was so blown away and why I wanted to make this episode now is because I couldn't believe that I was meeting someone who was like the only person in the business. Pretty sure he was making millions of dollars. He told me he felt unqualified to be in the room because he didn't know all the stuff we were talking about. And he also was laughing in private. He was laughing about it with me because he's like, dude, I don't need to know all of it. His job is to be the creative. His job is to say, how can I go and be as creative as possible and then put the burden of the fulfillment and the system structure and it built its own systems. He didn't have to come up with them. I was like, holy crap. I literally did think it was going to be another couple of years before we got to that spot. It's here. It's now. So what does that mean for us today? Clean your data. At a bare minimum, have a CRM. I recommend High Level. I really love it. In fact, I got resources on that in the description. But clean your data. Learn the skill of creativity. Creativity isn't something you're born with. I mean, each kid is kind of a creative genius until you go through school and they kind of shake it out of you. But creativity and creative thought, it's a series of questions and it's a literal documented process. I was taught it by one of my professors in college. college, he literally laughed at me and he goes, I'm going to teach you how to think. And I was like, I thought I knew how to think. And he goes, you don't know how to think. And I was like, what? And he goes, I'm going to teach you a creative process that literally is responsible for why our toothbrush is shaped the way that it is. The shape of the rocket fuselage. Steve Jobs used it to create the first computer mouse. Well documented. This is not something I'm just making up, but it's a creative, and you know what? Let me know. I would love to. There's a good company you should look up called IDEO that does this. And I was taught it in college, and I use it when I create my products. I use it when I am trying to solve a hard problem in my business. It's a set of questions that designs solutions to hard problems based on the end user and not your own brain. And so I use it all the time. And more now, I'm sitting back and I'm going, holy smokes, that's the future. Us, the creatives will be the entrepreneurs, and the successful businesses will be the ones who can create systems-based leverage on all these LLMs. Crazy. A lot of people talk about AI. I'm not like selling AI stuff or anything like that, but a lot of people talk about AI now. They're usually trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to bring awareness to the fact that these tools are here, and then just start taking simple AI courses. You know, if anyone has a good one, by the way, I am looking for more because I'm like, I got to go dive into a few different parts of this. Let me know in the comments which AI courses and things you guys have enjoyed, because I want to go dive into more of these pieces. I was laughing about it because I have had a hard time hiring certain skills or hiring in a way. I have my own amazing project management process that I use as a fractional CMO when people hire me in their companies. And sometimes it's hard to get people to follow it, but AI will, because I told it to. And so I'm like, man, I think the leverage, the work-based leverage that I've been looking for is actually code. It's AI. It's the next thing that we're going to go dive into. I don't need a bigger team. I need more LLM-based automation to automate certain key pieces. That way I can stay in my creative zone of genius. The value of my business will be based on how creative I can be. Whereas in the past, it was how creative can your product be and amazing can your product be. But then also you have to build a business around the thing. Just because you build a product doesn't mean you have a business. You all know that. And so I'm looking at all these things now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the product and all these things that required hiring and firing skills and team management and the business side of the business. A huge portion of that now I can go and actually just have all of these tools be. Crazy. We live in really, really exciting times, but only if you look at it that way. Otherwise, it does seem like a threat. AI is an advantage. It's a tool. Someone in the comments a while ago was like, can we just vote for AI to not be here? And I was like, it's too late. It is, you know? So it's kind of one of those things like crap or get off the pot. Like, and you're going to get left behind if you don't use them. If you guys enjoy this, let me know down below. I do read your comments. It's the first thing I do every morning when I wake up. I love reading you guys' comments. Let me know if you have cool courses that you like. Let me know how you're using AI in your own business. And if there's other topics you want me to dive into. I think it'd be fun in the next one to go in and teach the creative. I want to be in front of my computer though when I do that one, because I'm going to draw out for you the creative process that I was taught. It's a series of questions that you ask in a certain order and you spend time in them, and by the end you've created something. What's really interesting is the company IDEO, who first started doing these things, they're like, we don't know anything about toothbrushes or rockets or computers, or it's a huge design firm, but it's not design in the way you're thinking. They call it design thinking. Anyway, you guys are awesome. See you guys in the next one. Let me know down below. Subscribe, like, let me know what you guys think about this stuff. If AI is a threat or an advantage, it's actually up to you, but it's also a reality. See you guys. Bye.